La STM vous souhaite la bienvenue à bord.
As to get you there on time. This is In Transit on the Elias Macco Show, CJAT 800.
If you think you're going to vote on November 2nd in the Montreal municipal election, you think you're going to vote and then the next day, poof, whoever wins will get rid of the orange cones, well, you better keep dreaming on that front. Let's take a look at what the various parties are promising and if there are truly any solutions to our orange cone industrial complex that we live with here in Montreal. It's our pleasure to welcome back on the program Pierre Barrieau, a lecturer in transportation and urban planning at Université de Montréal. Pierre, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me once again.
There's no magic solution here, right? Doesn't matter what's being promised by the various candidates. There's no magic solution on the construction front.
There is no magic solution. The only magic solution is probably the next elected official will actually make even more cones appear.
Oh, really? You think it's going to get worse? Tell me why.
It's going to get way worse before it gets better. It's like when you start renovating a house. As soon as you start opening walls, it's worse than it is. And the reality is Montreal has underspent in the last 25 years, year after year, in its infrastructure. Infrastructure is degrading faster than we're fixing it. Now, here's the kicker. You know, it used to be for the longest time, suburbanites were always laughing about Montreal and the inner cities, like Westmount and others, on the quality of how it was so much better over there and how much, blah, blah, blah. Well, the problem is guess what? They are now arriving at a state where Montreal was 25 years ago. And what we're going to start seeing is all of the infrastructure that we built in the suburbs after World War II, well, they're getting ready to start changing it all. So orange cones are now going to the West Island, and they're moving into the 450.
Oh, boy. So no one is safe, is what you're saying, going forward.
No one is safe. And like I tell my students, it's a great field because you have jobs till your grandchildren retire.
Okay. Having said, boy, what a man, Debbie Downer Pierre this morning, but it's okay. I like the cold hard truth, Pierre. Really, never hold back on the show. But let me ask you this, okay? Because is there any way where you can manage it better so the impacts are less felt? And the reason I ask is I'm looking at some of the suggestions from the various candidates in the city of Montreal. So Luc Rabouin, he says, we're going to take inspiration from New York. We're going to set up a new unit responsible for managing construction sites, okay? I look at Craig Sauvé, Transition Montreal. He wants to bring the management of construction sites back in-house to the city with a new agency. So I've got a couple of candidates promising, hey, new agency. One says we'll take inspiration from New York. Now, is there any way that, actually different management, proper management, a different style of management can make things a little bit more bearable?
100%. We have to understand that the Quebec Road Industrial Complex is structured very differently than what is done in many other jurisdictions, such as Ontario. In Ontario, you have larger corporations that do all of the work. So you give one contract to one supplier, he puts the road closure signs, he digs, he redoes the water, the sewer, the gas, he redoes the road, he does the sidewalks, he plants the trees. In Quebec, outside of Pomerleau, really, is the only huge one that can do it. There's a few smaller ones, but basically nobody's able to do the project from A to Z internally. So the cities are caught trying to manage these projects. And since it's one after the other, the companies under a dozen contracts, well, then if every time one is late, it pushes the other ones further down the road. Whereas when it's one company, well, you're able to get it in a much more efficient way. And the other thing is, it's really hard to give bonuses on early delivery because it's so fragmented in terms of contracting. Whereas if you give a contract to one large firm to take care of everything, well, then they have the incentive and they will do the work quickly. Now, regarding what Craig is saying about bringing it in-house, in Hull, which is a part of Gatineau, for the longest time, they would do both private and public works. And typically the public was actually slightly cheaper. So what they would do is do most of the work in-house. In years that were busier, they would go to contract. But I would see very difficultly the city right now hiring thousands of people additionally to do all of the work internally. And the city would need facilities. I mean, it's easy to say we're bringing this in-house. So who's going to buy the 400 trucks? Who's going to buy all of the machinery? Who's going to find 25 acres to put all of that equipment on the island of Montreal? Who's going to spend $250 million to build a garage? And building all that experience and everything is something that's going to be extremely expensive. It's going to take a lot of time.
That voice of reason you're hearing is Pierre Barrieau, lecturer in transportation and urban planning at Université de Montréal. Pierre, I want to go back up to what you were talking about when you juxtapose how they do it in Ontario, how they do it in Quebec, and that we don't have these big companies. We got one, Parmerlo, but we don't have a plethora of big companies that can do A to Z. Shouldn't we be forcing that to happen? And I don't know if that has to be on the provincial government level. Shouldn't we be forcing mergers or making the contracts very clear? We want one company that does A to Z. Like, is there any way we could move the needle and force the industry to move towards bigger companies that can do the A to Z?
Well, right now, the problem, we're stuck in a catch-22. If you write a bid for doing a complete work, there's basically one or two large firms that are going to bid. If you decide to split it into 11, you get multiple bids. So what we have to do is sort of nudge. I wouldn't say transform, but just, a nice nudge. And that can be done with the help of the provincial government and helping, via Investissement Québec, funding certain companies to buy other companies to do, vertical and horizontal integration. It can be done, in helping to foster partnerships via the associations. And then slowly we can start getting these bids, which are turnkey.
Now, Pierre, just before I have to let you go, we mentioned Luc Rabouin.
Already?
Yeah, already. I mentioned Luc Rabouin. I did mention Craig Sauvé. I do want to say, Soraya Martinez-Ferrada, one of the things that their party has mentioned, again, it's stuff maybe I've heard maybe a million times now, that signage on construction sites has to be clearer, okay? Is that like... That seems like that's always been the issue here. But as you look at it, is that actually something that is a real problem?
Well, I would say signage is better than it was, but I would say there's still a lot of mistakes on signage. For example, every day as I'm on my Vespa going back home, I'm on Saint-Antoine West, and there's a construction sign that says you have to turn right on the right lane, or you can go straight or turn left on the left lane. And then you go about 50 meters past, and then all of a sudden, the one that you want to go straight is now on the right lane, not on the left lane. And that just ticks me off. I know which one I have to be in, but I'm like, why are these signs saying the wrong things? And that is, there's a lot of work to be done. A lot has to be done. We should really get signs with wheels underneath so we don't get woken up in the middle of the night when they change the signs places as they scratch them along the roads. That's another problem. And, let's get spell check on these darn signs as well, and it's really annoying when you see the signs with spelling mistakes. But we need better signs, more signs. We need the right signs. And there's still work to be done, but it is getting better, as the Beatles used to say. It's getting better all the time, but we're not there yet.
Did the mobility squad, like sometimes I've been in situations where like, where's this fabled mobility squad to fix this? Have they done an okay job, a job?
Well, mobility squad is great for when a construction truck or a delivery truck is parked illegally. They arrive with their pickup truck and they honk and they make a move. But what we need more is sort of, these overlords which would manage and make sure that the projects are better integrated and to try to diminish the chaos that we have with the construction projects right now. And that's really where work has to be done. We need that higher level planning, and we need more coordination still. It's better than it was, but it's still really not up to par yet.
Pierre, I'll put your name up for Traffic Czar, okay?
I'm 100% for it.
Merci beaucoup, and à la prochaine.
À la prochaine. Bye.
Pierre Barrieau is lecturer in transportation and urban planning at Université de Montréal.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years.
And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.